Hey, you finally have what you've been working toward for decades. You've got freedom, time, and perhaps the ability to follow your passions and do what you've always wanted to do. But then why does it occasionally feel less fun than you dreamed it would be? Hi, I'm Scott Mullet, and in this episode of The Wise Lane, we're going to be talking a lot about the retirement illusion. Empty, empty, and how to replace empty time with meaningful time that brings joy, purpose, and maybe even a few good laughs. Now, of course, this doesn't just apply to retirees, but our focus this episode will be mostly for their point of view. So, the retirement illusion, still empty, begins with the belief that more time would equal more joy. But for many retirees, it's sadly the opposite. When you're working, free time, well, it's the dream. You picture, I'm going to be sleeping in. I'm going to be taking these long breakfasts, maybe play some golf, maybe play some tennis, some bocce ball, a little exotic travel, completing all those home fix-it projects on your checklist. Check, check, check. Anything, as long as you don't have to be answering 25 emails or phone calls by 8 in the morning, like when you work. But then retirement actually arrives and you have this bizarre realization, oh my gosh, I can only play so many rounds of golf, sets of tennis, games of bocce, watch so many shows, or reorganize the same closet multiple times before these days all start to blur together. And why is that? It's because most of us are wired for structure and challenge. And when that disappears overnight, it's easy to feel lost, even if life looks perfect on paper. More time doesn't automatically create joy. And tons of research has been done on this exact subject. And it often falls under this wide umbrella of the phrase, the paradox of leisure. You can feel free to Google it. We think constant rest will make us happier. But our brains crave progress, purpose, novelty. It's the same reason that a lounge at the pool or a lounge at the beach vacation, it might feel amazing for 1, maybe 2 weeks. But by week 3 or 4, most of us are, well, frankly, we're itching to do something more active or meaningful. At least that certainly has been my experience. Others may really love the full 1 week vacation or, 3, 4 weeks sitting on a beach doing nothing. But personally, I believe human minds, they love growth and not stagnation. So if retirement is just about escaping work, eventually it can start to feel like, well, there's nothing new to escape from anymore. Leisure feels best when it's earned, not when it's just endless. Without intentional effort to create meaningful experience, extra leisure time, it easily gets filled with more mundane distractions, boredom, or even worse, maybe anxiety. So let's talk about what really drains joy after retirement. If you've seen any other episodes of The Wise Lane, you know I'm about to make 3 or 4 points. In this case, it's 3 points. So the first thing that drains joy in retirement is a lack of identity. So when someone asks casually, hey, what do you do? Suddenly that question can feel awkward. You used to say, yeah, I work for such and such, or I'm a vice president of this and that, or I run a business that yada, 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 yadas. There's my first Seinfeld reference, by the way. Now I'm retired. I'm a retired such and such. You used to have a title, and now you just have time. And although I said in episode 5 that I'm the CEO of Scott's Free Time, I actually don't say that in regular conversation because that would be weird, right? Yeah. So the second draining joy item to watch out for is a loss of social rhythm. And you might be thinking, wait, I'm retired. I have more time to be social, Scott. But you don't realize how much casual connection with your coworkers, coffee breaks, your routines, your company parties, how much of that shaped your sense of belonging. Like I was fortunate enough to begin my career at a time when lunches out with colleagues were an almost everyday occurrence and occasionally may have involved a martini. Don't judge. I worked in finance, not as an airline pilot. All right. COVID and remote work did change the dynamic of worksite interaction for millions of people for several years. But most of us still experienced a large portion of our work years with others and in person. And right now, as you probably read, the in-office experience is returning very quickly. And with that, all of those social interactions, both during and after hours. So the third drain of joy in retirement is the black hole of freedom. You have freedom from work, but somehow there's this strong gravitational force that sucks you away from finding the freedom to pursue what truly lights you up. Joy is often found not in the absence of work, but in the presence of connection, purpose, personal growth. Also, importantly, engaging in activities that bring meaning. And I've talked about this: hobbies, relationships, adventure trips, volunteering, mentoring, and more and more and more. But here's what you got to watch out for. These draining feelings, they can sneak in quietly like a rolling fog. You don't crash, you just fade little by little by little. Now, moving on, as your teachers, when you're growing up, might say, here's a key takeaway for today. Joy doesn't come from not working. It comes from doing something that matters to you. Once retired, you don't need a full-time job, but you do need purpose. As I mentioned, mentoring, volunteering, creating something new, or learning a skill just for the fun of it, for the heck of it, learn a new skill. Think of retirement not as an ending, but as a rebrand. Retirees having more time is like what a blank canvas provides for an artist. The canvas doesn't automatically just create the masterpiece. Oh, here we go. Okay. But it does provide the space and opportunity for the artist to paint that masterpiece. I'm horrible with art. Horrible. So I don't paint nothing. Nothing is painted by me. But in this case, you are the artist. So start by asking yourself, what gives my days meaning? What used to make me curious before real life got busy with work, kids, mortgage, car payments, and all that stuff? Who do I want to spend my best hours with now? The answers to those questions, and let's face it, there's many, many more questions like that. Well, those answers are going to be your true retirement plan. No, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be productive. It just has to feel alive to one person, and that's you. And remember, the illusion of retirement is thinking that joy comes automatically. The reality is joy is built one meaningful moment at a time, the artist and the canvas. So how will you spend your time now? What art do you want to create on that blank canvas? If this episode made you think a little differently about retirement, please hit that like button. It tells YouTube that this content matters, and it tells me that, I should keep doing it. And if you're ready to design a life that's joyful and not just restful, also please subscribe to The Wise Lane, because we provide weekly insights about money, mindset, and modern living after 50. Modern living, even if you're under 50. Because whether you're retired or not, please, please enjoy your freedom with purpose. I'm Scott Mullet, and thank you for watching. Abracadabra.